All right. Oh, is that camera really that bad? I hope it's really not that bad. Anyways. What's up? I said, what's up? All right. Let's see how we are doing here. Live chat. Boom. Maybe an hour or so. Anyways, yo, what's going on, guys? Hey, this is new. Is my I hope my camera quality is good. If not, I'm gonna do it totally different next time. Anyways, tonight is just Q&A stuff. I know there was a ton of really good questions left in I had a section on the community page where I asked I asked you guys for a lot of different questions. And basically I just wanted to kind of try to answer some of those and just kind of go through those and see, how much knowledge I can actually help you with, and hopefully just kind of give you some guidance or even just kind of bounce ideas off and help you guys with your training, with your racing, with your nutrition, all kinds of different things. So just start off though. What up, Ahmad? Ahmad is one of, oh, there we go. Why is this playing now? Ahmad he's one of my athletes actually. And I trained with him. Actually, I was training him back, I think right before COVID started. And then some things happened. But anyways, he started back up with me about a month ago or so. So super excited to have him back. Anyways, one of the questions super early on was from Ethan. He asked, could I get more into about equipment when it comes to racing? And, it looks like he has some equipment that's, just I don't even know how to say it. It's not older. It's just, I guess it's not like, a $12,000 bike. Let's just be honest. So equipment when it comes to racing is actually, I mean, it's fairly important. You want good functioning equipment, but you don't have to spend, thousands of dollars in order to get, really good race results, right? A lot of people will actually spend thousands of dollars to get good race results, but you actually don't need that. In reality, the only thing, you really need is you need a decent bike. And so an example, Nick, our sprinter on our team, he rides a Specialized, I can't remember which model it was. I can't remember their models. It's like the Pro, and then it's like the one below the Pro. I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, he's not even riding the Pro. He's riding the one below it. But he's got good components. Good components are huge. So it is a carbon frame, full carbon frame. It's a disc bike, and Expert. I think that's what it is. He rides a Specialized Tarmac SL6 Expert with Ultegra components, and then he does have the CL50s, not the CLX50s, not the super. The only difference is bearings and spokes. Anyways, that's what he's racing on, and he's been crushing it when it comes to sprints. So I would just say you get yourself a good solid bike with good components. You kind of want to stay away from aluminum frames. Aluminum frames are cool. The Lay Sprint is pretty cool, but the carbon frames are a little bit lighter. And then, get yourself I think the biggest investment is race wheels, investing in a good set of race wheels. And that makes a huge difference. But outside of that, just race your bike and have fun, really. Clifton, he asked about vegan versus vegetarian versus omnivore. And that's an interesting one. So we all know, Tyler and I hang out quite often, and Tyler is vegan, obviously. I'm actually not vegan. I'm also not vegetarian. Now, I probably eat more on like the vegetarian side of things. When I eat out and stuff, which isn't very often, I will have some sort of, usually meat when we eat out. But usually I'm eating more on the vegetarian side. For me personally, actually tonight we had We had chicken tacos tonight, which was actually kind of out of the norm. But outside of that, the huge differences in that, a lot of people go vegan because one, there's the whole animal side of it and the issue with it. So, they look at it like, hey, I'm trying to save animals and I'm going vegan, which I think that's totally fine. I know part of the reason why Tyler is vegan is because of that. And then there's another side of it too, where people find that they feel better. Some people perform better, and then other people can actually, maintain a healthier weight by going vegan. So there's all kinds of reasons why people go vegan, right? And I honestly, this is something too that Tyler's been really harping on with his fasting and stuff is you need to find what works for you. For me, going vegan, I don't think I could do it because there's a lot of other types of foods that I love. Like, for example, I'm a huge fan of sushi. I love sushi and I love fish. Something else is, some of my favorite pancakes are made with cottage cheese, right? And as a vegan, you're not supposed to have dairy because dairy comes from cows, right? So I'd have to be cutting out that stuff. And for me, it's like, I don't know. I do eat healthy though. I'm not all into the bacon and the large amounts of butter and all that different stuff. I'm very, very healthy eating. I make just the right foods to balance out the right flavors. I don't go heavy on seasonings and all kinds of different things. So overall, for me, being I guess an omnivore was what it would be. I mean, it works for me, and I can also maintain a healthy weight while doing it. But again, I don't eat meat super often. So today, like to recap my day, I think I had chicken for dinner, and then the rest of the day, I had a salad for lunch, like a huge salad for lunch, and I had what I had for breakfast, like a peanut butter bar type thing that was super good, super healthy. Um, yeah. Oh, I made some chocolate chip cookies tonight, so I had some cookies, and I had chicken tacos. So there's benefits to each and every single one of them, but in reality, I think you just kind of you find what works for you and you go with it. I mean, being vegetarian isn't a bad thing either. You can be super healthy being vegetarian. The only thing I'd say about not being an omnivore and being vegetarian or especially vegan, is you want to make sure you get in enough protein. I do know it's a little bit tougher. You have to like really make sure you eat the right type of foods to hit that protein value. So it's really the only thing you have to watch out for. But other than that, I mean, I think you just pick and choose what works for you and you stick with it. All right. Oh, wow. We got a ton of comments here. Here we go. So I'm catching up. I'm going to move through these a little bit quicker. Oh, Cam, you're working with Tim? Dude, Tim, SoCal, he's awesome. I love Tim. First time I met Tim, I was like, is your energy level always at, a 15 out of 10? Like, the dude is super positive. I actually did a little bit of work with him. We traded services. He helped me with some hip issues that I was having on my left side. And then I wrote up some training plans for him to get him back into the mode of training and getting fit again. And then I have a couple athletes that I coach personally that were having some knee issues that I've sent to Tim, and Tim has straightened them out. And then Tim has had some athletes too that had some knee issues or back issues or whatever they had, and they were looking to get into coaching. He sent them my way. So me and Tim have a really good relationship. Loved him. But anyways, Cam, you've been working with him, being completely off the bike since the beginning of August. What would be the best way to get started back to training again? This is going to be super simple. I'm actually dealing with another athlete right now that has done the same exact thing. He quit coaching for a while because he's working with Tim. And then he finally got to the point where now he could start riding the bike again. So then he hired me back. And straight up, I'm going to say, you're just going to just start out easy. Go out, have fun. I mean, if you're training with power and stuff, just, maybe just keep it at like zone 3 or lower. Like, don't do any full-on sprints. Don't do any, 5-minute VO2 max type testing stuff. I would just go out and just start logging the time. Just get the time in, work on that, maybe do that for like 2 weeks. And then I would actually move into doing some tempo work. If you do some tempo work, That's going to get your aerobic system back in the flow of things. And then eventually you do a couple weeks of tempo. Then you start introducing the sweet spot. And then you kind of start moving to the higher intensities. But by then you'd have about a month, month and a half, maybe 2 months of lower end aerobic intensity under your belt. So your muscles are getting used to it again. I mean, that's a good way. You just kind of want to ease into it. You don't want to go full gas. So like with the training I've been doing, we didn't jump into it full gas because I've already been doing a solid amount of training. So, you can't, a lot of people think they can go out there and just jump on the bike and start doing 20 hours a week. Like it's nothing. I did that way back in the day, probably in, I think it was like 2012, one off season. I was just like, yo, I'm going to do it 20 hours every single week. I did it for 3 months. I was doing maybe 8 hours a week before that, like barely. I was cat 4. I started doing 20-hour weeks. And after 3 months, I actually developed tendonitis on my right knee and actually put me off the bike for 3 months. So when I came back from that, hit the weights, did some work on it, and then I've never had issues since. But I definitely overtrained and went too hard. So just ease into it, have fun. That would be my advice for you, Cam. Oh yeah, dude, Michael, the butcher. Michael, yeah, dude. I'm glad that build stuff really helped you out. And yeah, wheels are super important. Okay, Rubik's swim. How do I train my stomach for eating more calories on the bike? Do I start with real food, sandwiches, bananas, then choose, then gels, or stick to one thing? So those type of, okay, so sandwiches are going to be obviously a little bit heavier and they're going to be harder to take in. When it comes to like bananas are good, but they can also be kind of like filling. Gels, the one thing I love, I do a drink mix with calories. I do, obviously I do gels. And then the other thing that I do is I call them adult fruit snacks, but like chews or chomps, the little gummies. I do those. I also do like waffles on my longer ride, the Stroop waffles. I think you just need to pay attention to how many carbs you're taking in per hour. So like during my workouts, I know I need 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour. And I know each gel has about 21 grams of carbs in it. So I'm going to take at least 3 of those in an hour. But in reality, my drink mix has 60 grams of carbs in it. And I'm trying to go through a bottle, every hour to an hour and a half because it's super cold right now. I'm not pounding the fluids as much, but there's 60 grams in my bottle. And then I got gels, right? So basically I would do like an interval effort, like a sweet spot effort. Like if I did it 40 minutes or an hour, then I was smashing 2 gels afterwards and trying to chug as much of that bottle as I could. And I think you just need to keep getting used to eating. And now again, there's going to be a limit to where you can only eat so much before your body just feels like, dude, my stomach's completely full. I can't take in anything else. So liquid calories are actually the easiest. You're going to absorb them super quick. And then if you're sweating and stuff, your body's going to absorb all that really quick and try to replenish it to where it needs to go. So I would say go that route. Gels are going to be super easy to put down. Now, some people might have like GI distress with that stuff. So it's just learning to like introduce them and just use them constantly. Your body will adapt to that. And then when you get off the bike, try to cut out like super sugary foods because that's only going to add to it. Try to go more of a more neutral route and, try to eat some like actual like whole foods to kind of soak up any junk that's in your stomach too. I mean, that's one way to kind of do it. Chews, gels are good. And you could stick to one thing during the entirety of a race or a marathon. But in reality, I mean, I don't think I like to change it up. I'll do gels and chomps. I'll switch between them because I get tired of them. In races, I might stick to the same thing just because it's easy. But in training rides, I'm constantly switching around my nutrition, trying to just kind of keep it fresh and change different things. I hope that answers your question relatively good. I don't know if anyone else has any opinions on that. Go ahead and chime in as well. What's the best part about riding with Tyler? Well, one, we have some really good conversations, Tyler and I. Like, we have some really good conversations about cycling, about Life, we've talked a lot about life. We have some really good conversations about different haters out there too. It's always fun to talk about the people that are always throwing shade at you, um, and just how we use that to actually fuel us to stay competitive and keep moving forward. So in a way, it's like, yeah, dude, bring. I mean, sometimes the hate really destroys you, but at the same time, like you kind of see that and you're like, yeah, bring it, let's do it. The other thing is, it's fun when we get frisky on rides. Like, you know, I think there was one day there was a KOM that he had, and we were riding, and we're probably like 3 hours in the ride, and I was like, "Where's the KOM start?" He's like, "I'm not gonna tell you." I'm like, "Come on, where's the KOM start, dude?" So he told me, it's like it's right here and it ends here, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna give it a shot." He's like, "Please don't steal my KOM." I'm like, "Come on, man, it's gonna be fun. Just hang on my wheel and you can get it too." So it's always fun doing that. And there's also some days too where we're going and he's just ripping up a climb or something, and I know that I already have the KOM, so I'm like glued to his wheels, and I'm watching my live segment too, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so ticked if he poaches this thing right now. So actually, it's fun. We're very competitive, especially there's KOMs on the road. We'll lead each other out, or if we know the other person has it, we'll try to poach it. Like his Bayshore descent, which is in his backyard, the very long from 7,000 feet down to his house at 3,500. I kind of played at the top and he started to go, and then I came and I rolled past him, and he caught on eventually, but I ripped that descent. Like I was in a zone and I just ripped it. I had the Wahoo, the map up, so I knew where all the tight corners were because he has it memorized. I don't, but I ripped it, and I'm getting towards the bottom, and there's some people we were coming up onto, and I started to like check my brakes to slow up, and he just gunned it past me for the last quarter mile, and he put a gap of about 10 seconds on me, which actually kind of equal to what we did at the top. And then he ends up finishing it. And I'm like, bro, I think that was our fastest time. And sure enough, we get home and Strava gave it to him by 1 second. Like we blew his old time out of the water by 2 minutes. But because he did his little gapping at the bottom, which is kind of fair because I did at the top, he made up time and he beat me by a second. So, I mean, one, we have good conversations, and two, we just love playing bikes on the road with each other. It's super fun. Nick doesn't like it because he likes to sprint. He doesn't climb as fast as us, but we do try to lead out Nick for like sprint KOMs or shorter KOMs and stuff like that too. Anyways, Tyler's awesome. I was so excited to ride with him yesterday. I don't get to see him enough. Ismail, what up, dude? I coach Ismail. Super cool. What's the approach going to look for athletes in this 2021 season when everything is very speculative and uncertain? So, I mean, the way I've been approaching it, so I have athletes all over. I have athletes. I got a couple athletes in the UK. I got an athlete up in Canada, and the rest of them, actually, I got one in the Philippines too. And the rest of them are here in America. But most of the racing in America doesn't start until like April. Here in California, we obviously start like January, February. As of right now, it doesn't look like in Northern California we're going to have any racing in January or February, which really sucks. But basically, I mean, you just kind of got to think about too the races that will possibly be there in the summer. So my approach is like, we just keep doing the same things. And especially right now, since racing is still on hold for the first 2 months, that actually gives us more time to keep laying a solid base foundation. So, I mean, you can lay a base foundation for a good while, and then we can build on top of that. So I'm just working on getting athletes to have, a pretty solid fitness, a really good foundational base. We're working on some FTP stuff. We're still balancing the VO2 in there slightly to keep things going, but we're doing a lot of like sweet spot type stuff, just really building up the endurance and the fatigue and allowing the body to make those adaptations to use fuel efficiently and things. And that's been kind of the approach. Some athletes do have their year detailed out when it comes to what they want to be doing race wise. So, some of those goals are on the calendar and we're still working towards them. So like for me personally, like nationals is later this year in June, and that is like my main goal for the season. So for me personally, like we're still working towards that. Even if there's no racing in the next 2 months, like really, I don't care. The goal is later on in the year in June or something. So we're still working towards that. I think it's kind of foolish to sit back and go, hey, we're just going to take it easy, go unstructured, have fun, because there's no racing. I see it as like this is a good time to maybe get ahead of everyone else who might be taking it easy and not as serious. I mean, there's a lot of people too in Northern California. Some of the competition I've looked at, they've barely jumped back on the bike like this last week. They pretty much took the whole winter off, because they were like, oh, there's not going to be no racing. Why do I want to be fit? And for me, I'm like, nope, that's not me. We're going to get fit. And I try to do the same thing with my athletes, and I motivate them and just tell them a lot of the same stuff. Favorite go-to workout to build fitness? Dang, I don't know. Because it depends. Like, if you're relatively fit, you could do some harder workouts. If you're not fit and you're just trying to build a base, you're going to have to like dial it back and do lower stuff. The sweet spot stuff has been fun because that's what I've really been doing a lot of right now. Like this last week was super fun to knock out 3 days in a row of 2 by 60 minutes at sweet spot, like doing my best hour power for all of those. Like that was super fun, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what that's a tough one to answer. Favorite go-to workout. I don't know. I know when I'm fit, I like doing the VO2 stuff. I like doing VO2 workouts. I feel like I really all of a sudden just take my riding from here to there. That's always fun. That's a hard one to answer because it's kind of relative too. It depends on if I'm fit, I want to do VO2 stuff. If I'm not fit, I want to do more of the sweet spot and threshold stuff in order to get fit so I can do the more fun VO2, 30 seconds on, 2 minutes off, 4 minutes on type stuff. Yeah, that's a good question. The Butcher, do you cut loose with diet around the holidays, even a little? I would say I try my best not to. Now, this is what happened. I have an athlete in Canada, and she's been doing all these baking things, and she sent me 24 cookies in the mail. And I'm going to be honest, I probably ate 20 out of 24 of those cookies. My wife only ate like 4. And I was having them for breakfast. I was having for like a post-ride meal. It was awful. And that week was not fun. I gained like a little bit of weight, but then it came right back off within a week after I stopped eating all that junk. So I really try to stay focused. I will deviate a little bit on my bigger days because if I'm burning, 3,000 to 4,000 calories on my ride that day, then it's okay to actually get in some of that stuff. I'll try to get in closer to when my ride was over compared to like later at night. So, but in reality, I just try to stay in a rhythm because if you start slipping, it's harder to get back on the horse, right? So I try not to let that go. Yeah, super hard. Sometimes it's exhausting being disciplined, but then again, every now and then I have fun. Like once a week or something, I'll go out and I'll have takeout or I'll have, something that I usually don't do. Like tonight I made homemade cookies because we had a Christmas party with the youth group and I have a ton of leftover Walmart like sugar cookies and stuff. It has not been good in my house. Okay. Been eating up gingerbread and sugar cookies. It's ridiculous. So I was like, you know what, wifey, hide these. So she hid them. Not very good because I saw them in the cupboard. But I was like, hide these. And I'm going to make homemade cookies because at least if I'm going to splurge on cookies, like at least the homemade stuff is a little bit healthier than buying the store-bought, full-blown, sugar-coated with frosting. So that's what I've been doing. But I definitely try to stay on my diet as best I can. Have you raced against heavier riders, 200 pounds, that have blown your doors off? No. I have not. At our level, at the Cal 1 level, you don't see a lot of guys that are 200 plus pounds like blowing doors off. Now, there are heavier riders, 170, maybe 180, maybe even 190, but I haven't seen anyone 200 plus. That I've never been in a break or anything either. Like if they're 200 plus, they're probably a sprinter. But to be honest, Nick is 150 pounds and he's putting out, 1,500 watts in the sprint and doing like 1,300 for 5 to 10 seconds, actually 10 seconds. And he's going to beat them. So no, honestly, no. Luke, when did you meet Tyler? Dude, I met Tyler. When did I meet him? I met him back. I lived back east, 2010, 11. I think I moved back in 12. So I met Tyler, I think 2012. I remember there was a race, and I was doing it, and I remember he was in the race. I didn't know who he was, and he was a random guy, and I don't even know if he was on a team. He might have been on an old team that I was on. Anyways, um, but I just remember riding. I was like, dude, this guy cannot hold his line through corners. Like he would start wide and then dive in on people, and it was like I was like, dude, this is the sketchiest guy ever. And then we ended up being teammates. I think like a year later or something. We ended up being on the same team. And when I first met him, I was like, dude, that's a sketchy rider from that one crit. I totally know who this guy is. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But out of that blossomed a great friendship. Now we were both Cat 4s at the time, right? So I mean, he's a completely different bike handler today. He's super strong now. I'm completely different bike handler as well, and I'm super strong. And it's been fun. We were on the team for a while, and then we ended up splitting because when we got to Cat 1, everything changed. Our local team fell apart, and we all just kind of went to different teams. And then he was like, yo, I'm starting a team. Do you want to be a part of it? And that's when I decided to leave Specialized and come back, and I jumped on board with his team. And then my buddy Nick, Nick is also a friend of Tyler's, our sprinter. He wasn't riding at the time because he was working on real estate. And I was like, yo, you need to get unretired and come back and ride. So he did, and now he's racing again. He started out going, I will never do a road race. Yeah, psych. I got him doing road races. But yeah, that's where I met Tyler. And I'm glad to know Tyler. Tyler's a cool guy. What are your ideas on mid-season break? I do them sometimes. I like mid-season breaks. So usually in July, I'll take maybe a week off. I'll take like a week completely off, or there'll be like a week or two there where I just kind of go unstructured and just kind of ride when I feel like it, and I kind of let it go. With my coach now, I think he's probably gonna not do like full week off, but we will do kind of a mid-season break, especially after nationals. We'll do that, and then we'll ramp back up. Mid-season breaks are good, especially, I mean, for us in California, we start racing in like, February, right? So a lot of people take that break kind of like at the end of June going into July, and then we all ramp it back up for the last remaining like race series, which starts in August and it goes through September. So we usually kind of use July as our mid-season break. I think mid-season breaks are super good though. Like I would definitely do it. It's also good for burnout. Helps you not to burn out. So yeah. Okay, what are your ideas? Oh, no, here we go. Sandy Man, your breathing when you're in a sweet spot session or even more intense? Oh, like, is it worse? I think that's what you're asking. Is it worse or is it okay? I'm confused. Here, clarify that one for me and I'll come back and answer it. Sweet Cam, I'm glad that made sense. Okay, Johnny. Sup, Chaz? Quick question. What would be the best advice for jumps starting like a winter base training, such as 8x20s intervals? What would you be the recommendation? Okay, base. So for jump starting your base training in the winter, I would start out with some tempo stuff. Just kind of start doing some of that. I would also maybe do like a tempo day and then a sweet spot day, and then I would also do these things called like sweet spot crisscross, which is really cool. It's kind of like over unders in a way, where especially if you do them short, you do like 3 by 15 minutes of sweet spot crisscross. Maybe I'll make a video on it, but you go 15 minutes. Every 3 minutes, you do 30 seconds at like your VO2 power, basically. So you go sweet spot, and then 3 minutes in, you go 30 seconds at VO2, and then after that, you come settle right back into sweet spot. So you're going to get like a little dose of the VO2, but you're also primarily doing sweet spot. And the other thing you're doing is you're overloading the system with lactate in the blood, which now your body's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Ah! And it has to actually work harder at clearing the lactate. And it's really good for just learning and getting your body to adapt to like lactate shuttling and whatnot. So I would try that. And then you can actually move into, some threshold work super quick. Like you just hit on some sweet spot stuff for a couple of weeks and then jump right into threshold. And I think that will jumpstart your base season, especially if you haven't been doing anything so far. That will work. Now your base might not be super big. So when you do start doing the high VO2 stuff and you get really, really fast and really intense, You might not be able to hold that type of fitness for a super long time. You'll peak and eventually have to like reset. That's why I think it's super important to continue to approach the year as it's an actual race year, regardless of races happening or not, because you need to set up a solid foundation for the whole year. Yeah, that's what I would do, Johnny. I would just start with some sweet spot with some like over under stuff to really kind of jumpstart the system, and then move into threshold, and then move into some VO2 work. And I think that would be super good. Banana gaming. That's an interesting name. Get it? Do you like bananas? Indoor biking versus outdoor biking. Outdoor all day. All day. I don't Zwift often. That's my wife's bike. She Zwifts indoors. I don't Zwift, although this week is an off week and it's super foggy right now. It's been foggy in the mornings, it's been foggy in the evenings, and it's super cold when it's foggy. So I might actually Zwift indoor this week, especially since I'm only doing like zone 1, 2 stuff because it's a rest week. But I definitely do outdoor versus indoor for sure. I'm finishing my second year of riding. So far, I have no clue what my strengths and weaknesses are. When would the differences actually be noticeable? That's a hard one because everyone's completely different. Some people, can really figure out what their strengths are right off the bat. Others can't. I think if you're in your first couple of years of racing, you don't need to pick what type of rider you are. No, let's put it this way. I remember when Peter Sagan was in the World Tour and he was doing really well. Like he was starting to win a lot of races and making some noise. I think it was on liquid gas at the time. Actually, it was the year that he was doing the Tour of California and he almost won the dang thing. Or no, he did win the Tour of California, right? But he was going up that final climb and Alaphilippe was actually there too. And he attacked and Alaphilippe took off and Peter dug super hard to stay there. I remember on that day, the commentators were like, yeah, Peter Sagan has to decide what type of rider he wants to be. He can either be a solid all-arounder, he can be a pure sprinter. But I mean, the dude's already World Tour, right? He's got years and years and years under his belt. And he still hasn't really fine-tuned into one niche that he wants to be in. So I think, I wouldn't really worry too much. I mean, what your weaknesses are, obviously. And I would say, you work on those and bring those up. But I wouldn't worry about trying to be a super good climber. I wouldn't worry about trying to be a super good sprinter. I would just have fun, just keep racing. And eventually, if you start winning and having success, you're going to figure out that's the type of rider you are because it's working, right? And then you just stick to that. Like for me, I would love to be a super good climber, but at the same time, I love getting in breakaways. I love, winning sprints from the breakaways and different things. So I'm kind of working more towards being an all-arounder. But I mean, I'm gifted too at being able to hold long, sustained efforts. So my weakness is my sprint, and I do work on it quite a lot. I mean, even Nick gives me kudos, even though he blows me out the back every single time he sprints. But I work on it constantly, and it really helps. Really helps a lot. But again, I don't sit here and just focus on one thing and try to be the best I can in that area. I know what works for me, and those are the type of efforts I kind of train towards, and I do that. So I wouldn't worry about too much. I would just keep training hard, and then eventually you're going to find out what helps you be successful in racing, and you go with that. Okay, Jack, have you ever worked with someone that was say like 180 pounds with a 400 plus pound squat and a 500 plus deadlift? Dang. If so, have you seen a certain time frame it takes for muscle to adapt to endurance? Okay, I have not. Now, is my wife really printing stuff right now? She's gonna be like, sorry. She's printing stuff, dang printer. I haven't, but so like Nick he's been really good at putting on muscle. Like the dude can go in the gym and he can squat quite a bit for his body weight. I'm like squatting like 125 pounds and he's like, I did 240. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Whatever. One thing for him is he really does have to work at doing a lot of sweet spot and a lot of threshold work to bring up his aerobic engine, because his sprint comes naturally. His 1 minute comes naturally. His 30-second comes naturally. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's not fair. He'd be like, oh, I did 30 seconds at 900 watts or 950. And I'm like, what? It's ridiculous. But he has to put a lot of time in working at the endurance aspect of it. And so people who put on muscle really quick, it's a little bit harder when it comes to the longer road races. So you just got to do a lot of time at threshold. You got to spend a lot of time at the sweet spot stuff. I mean, it takes a lot. It's something that he's really been working on lately. But I mean, that's kind of my guidance for that. Other than that, I haven't really worked with anyone that does that much weight. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of weight. Again, I don't really lift all that much either. But hopefully that kind of like answers a little bit. Chaz, love following your content. I have a little bit of a long-winded question. Would love your input. Just kidding. New to cycling, 4 or 5, 6 months, living sport, FTP 150. All right. I want to start structured training, get better. How should I start structured training? Hire me as your coach. Half kidding. And I struggle with diet and food planning with a busy work schedule. Can you help provide some insight for beginners on planning diet with training structure and diet? I hope to get better overall. All right. So when it comes to structured training, I mean, if you're really just getting into the sport, Trainer Road is a good way to do it. Training Peaks has a ton of different training plans you can pick up to start in that general direction. If you want to really have a good guidance on where to go, I think having a personal touch of a coach is good. Obviously, I'm going to plug myself. I coach. But you can also find a lot of other good coaches out there. The thing is, you want to call whoever, if you find a coach and you're interested in them, you definitely want to have a conversation with them and explain what your goals are. And you want to talk about, how, what's kind of your plan to get me there? What's, what are we looking at communication wise? How involved are you going to be in and actually tweaking it to me personally and not just a cookie cutter routine, and that's one thing for me I do with the athletes is a lot of the stuff is detailed out, to their personalized zones and different things. And, if they got certain things coming up and we need to work on certain things, we'll do workouts to help that. And like me, a lot of my athletes are doing sweet spot right now, but they're not all doing the same type of sweet spot. Like I got all my athletes doing different types of sweet spot, different durations, all kinds of different things, right? They're all at different areas. Now, when we get into season and it comes into VO2, some people need to do longer 6-minute VO2 workouts and other people need to do like more of like 2 or 3 minute VO2 workouts. Like it really depends on what I see in their power data. So that's one thing about a coach. Coach would definitely help you get in the right direction and get you on a solid track to like improving and actually knocking out your goals. Whereas you can do a training plan though from like Trainer Road or something like that, which would be definitely a lot cheaper, or even Zwift. And you'd have like a general direction and you'd have kind of a cookie cutter routine. But eventually I think you'd have to jump ship and go into more, specific and more finely tuned to you personally in order to continue to have success. That's why I pay a lot of money for a coach, because I want someone who's going to take the time understanding who I am and continue to move me forward in the sport. So, and diet wise, I mean, it sounds simple and it sounds like redundant, but you got to eat clean. Tyler said in his videos too, make your own food. Like the more food you make, the more you realize what you're eating and putting into your body. You want to go unprocessed. You want to go non-prepackaged type food, you got to. That's what I do. Like I said, pancakes every morning. Literally, it's oats, egg whites, cottage cheese, blended together, a little baking powder, throw in some walnuts, blueberries. Boom. Those are homemade pancakes with whole ingredients. We do homemade pizza. My wife is amazing at making the homemade dough. Literally it's just flour, yeast, a little bit of sugar, water, and then we knead in a ton of flour. And next thing you know, you got amazing pizza dough. And then we have some pizza sauce we use and some cheese, and we do it super plain like that with some basil on it. And that's what we do. I mean, it's all homemade, fresh food, right? I'll do salads. I'll do the salad kits. I only use half the dressing. They give you so much dressing on the salad kits. It's ridiculous. I don't use it. I use half the dressing, and that way I cut down on all of the stupid non-essential calories in there. And I'll eat that. Like that's whole food, right? Again, I said we made our own homemade cookies versus buying store-bought cookies. They're going to be slightly healthier because we made them at home with whole ingredients. Just do it. So Whole Foods is huge, super huge. Where do you live that makes you a good climber? So I live in California. I live just outside of Fresno. We are basically at the base of the Sierra Nevadas. So like Yosemite is up probably 2 hours from my front door. I mean, it's super close for Tyler. It's only 30 minutes. For me, it's about 2 hours. And then Kings Canyon National Park is actually closer to me. Kings Canyon Sequoia National Park is up there at about 5,000 feet too. And that's only an hour from my front door. So, there's awesome mountains out here. So for example, I've been doing Sweet Spot. It's gotten really cold lately, but we've been doing them on this climb. This climb is about an 8-mile climb. And if I was to go full gas, it's about 34, 35 minutes. If I was to go Sweet Spot, it's about 37 to 38 minutes, depending on the conditions. I mean, that's a long climb, right? It's about 2,300 feet of climbing each time you do it. So we were just doing Sweet Spot repeats up and down that thing like 3 times or whatever. And that's why a lot of my rides were like 8,000 to 9,000 feet of climbing for one day, because we were doing them on that climb. So that's where I live. That's where I get the good climbing. Tyler lives up there too. And the climbing, if I want to ride flat, I can just stay right here in my town, like just kind of go out around the surrounding area, and I can get 300 total feet of climbing for a 40-mile ride if I wanted to. Or I can venture out into the foothills or continue to go up into the mountains and get a good, 5,000 to 10,000 foot day. So that's where I live, Fresno, California, out there. It's actually a little town called Sanger, but everyone knows Fresno because there's an airport. Okay, Sandy, you came back and fixed that. So for Sweet Spot, yeah, I mean, I get in a rhythm with my breathing. I do focus on that too. The one thing to help keeping heart rate in check, sometimes if you drop your cadence and you go lower cadence about like 70 RPM, you can actually bring your heart rate down a little bit, because you're going to use more of your muscles and stuff and take a little load off your aerobic system. The other times though, if you run a higher cadence, you can elevate your heart rate that way. That's why I've had some athletes do alternating cadence work when they do workouts. So for example, say I gave them 20 minutes of tempo, I would have them do 5 minutes at a low cadence, like 65 to 85. And then I would have them do 5 minutes at 100 plus cadence. And then I would have them do the last 10 minutes of that 20-minute interval at whatever cadence they wanted to. So, it's kind of teaching you to figure out how to deal with that. Sweet Spot wise though, I think if you're building it right and you're progressing it right, and you're doing it at the right intensity and you're actually staying in Sweet Spot, your breathing should be pretty comfortable. For example, when I first started about 2 months ago is when we started the full-on build, I was doing like 2 by 25 Sweet Spot. My heart rate would creep up. My threshold heart rate's like 182. My average heart rate was creeping up like 175 to 180 on those. Now I'm doing an hour at Sweet Spot and my heart rate is creeping up to, the other day I did one, the first one I averaged 165 for an hour, and the second one, and that was my best hour power ever, I think. And my second one, I averaged 171 for an hour. So obviously there's going to be some cardiac drift from effort to effort, because, things happen, you get dehydrated and different things. And, but still, I mean, that is a huge difference from when I started. So if you're doing it right, you'll find yourself like, if you start to like do them, you're like, oh, these are getting easy. Don't up the intensity, just extend out the time you do them at. That's huge. I think too many people jump up before that. Hey, wifey, you were just printing a ton of stuff. Thank you.
I have homework.
I know you have homework. You're a busy college student. Get it. All right. If that makes sense for that question. If not, you still have more questions, ask away. Let's see here. Do you maintain strength, weightlifting, and race season? No, I don't. One reason is, now you can, I'm not saying don't, but I don't personally. You can do, I would say if you do during the race season, I would do it once a week, and I would do it earlier in the week rather than later in the week. During the off season, I do a little bit, but So the big thing is you really don't need to do it until you turn, like once you get around about 40 or older is when you really need to make sure you start putting weights into your routine. You can get away with it. If you're 30 to 40, you can get away with it. Obviously, if you're under 30, like, you can definitely get away with it. But as you get older, you lose a little bit more muscle mass. It's a little bit harder to maintain, actually. So you do need to supplement in some weights just to make sure you don't lose too much of that muscle and you can keep it on. But if you decide to do it during the season, I would do one a week. I wouldn't do more than one a week. You're just going to build up too much fatigue on your legs and different things. Do you and VC have the same coach? We do not. You still printing in here? Oh my gosh, you're killing my live stream right now. What are you doing? I ran out of paper. Wow, it's killing all the trees, are we? Love you. Do you and Tyler have the same coach? We do not have the same coach. Now, Tony from ATP Coaching, super good guy. He's actually one of my friends too. When I first started in racing and he decided to go into coaching, I started with him and I got coached by Tony. I was with Tony for a while, I think until about 2015. So about 2013 to 2015, I was with Tony. And then I switched coaches over to Burnham Coaching, Chris Burnham. I was with him up until a couple of months ago. I switched. I was trying so hard to get Tim Cusick from Training Peaks. I don't know if you guys know who some of you guys might know who Tim Cusick is. He's like the head dude of like WKO and all that stuff. He coaches, and I was trying so hard to get him to be my coach, but he only deals with 4 athletes. So he didn't have room for me and he wanted to, but one of his athletes, Amber, is going to the Olympics this next year. And he's like, I just don't have time to take on a new person and work through it. And I was like, all right, dude, I totally get it. Who's option B? So he, a guy in his coaching group, Velocious coach, whatever his coaching company is called. His name's Scott Moninger. I talked to Scott. Dude, Scott is a super cool guy. He is a wealth of knowledge. One thing that he really understands and knows is racing. I mean, he's one of the winningest USA pro cyclists out there. He has the most wins in the USA, which is super sick. But he's amazing. And I switched to him and I told him my goals. And he actually sat down, him and Tim sat down and talk through what they need to do to help me just kind of achieve my goals. And, honestly, he's put it on paper for me and I saw it for 2 or 3 months, before we got to where we are today. So I knew we had this goal of, like I've been talking about all week about doing 2 hours of sweet spot in a ride. That was a goal that we set 2 months ago. And this week we did that 3 times. And I'm just like, this is awesome. And he checks in. We do phone calls every single week and talk through stuff. But again, he only takes on, I think he said he takes on like 10 athletes or something like that. Like he only has like 7 athletes right now, including me. So, he's a pretty high level coach though. And I'm super grateful. There's a company back east called Lil Mac Remodeling. Super thankful for them. They actually chipped in and sponsored my coaching. So I have some of my coaching costs covered and stuff. So that's the only way I was able to make that work. But no, me and Tyler don't have the same coach, but Tony is an awesome guy. He's an awesome coach. He just got his PhD actually from Penn State. Super excited. I remember when he moved out there, I was super bummed, but it was to get his PhD and he did it and he finished it. He just got engaged to get married too, not too long ago. Super excited for Tony and his coaching business is doing great. And obviously he's doing a good job with Tyler too. So, nothing but good things to say about Tony. But yeah, no, we don't. And unfortunately, I mean, it is what it is, but, it's okay not to have the same coach, it's totally fine. All right. What was same coach? Hey, John, I'm glad I can answer your stuff. Garrett, sweet. Got that done. RAM test versus 20-minute test versus 8-minute VO2 max test versus 5 minutes. Or another suggestion for best practice to determine FTP. So I did a video on this actually. I don't know if someone commented on how they watched the day and they did a RAM test or something. I did a video on FTP test. I don't like the RAM test because I use WKO for analyzing a power curve, and I find I want the longest duration of data I can get for an athlete, because not only do you learn what your threshold is, but not everyone can hold their threshold for 20 minutes or for 60 minutes. So it was funny. I saw Tyler did his best power yesterday, right? He did 320 for an hour. And people were like, dude, your threshold's 320. And I'm like, no, his threshold is actually not 320. His threshold is definitely like 330, 335. Now, the common thing is like whatever power you can hold for an hour, that's your threshold, right? Well, I can hold 333 for an hour. Does that make that my threshold? No, my threshold's like 350. And the reason for that is because there's this thing called time to exhaustion, meaning how long can you hold that threshold? Most people hold it anywhere from 35 minutes to about 45 minutes. Some really good trained athletes can hold it up to an hour. So one thing for me when we started all this sweet spot work was I was holding 350 for about 35 minutes. As of right now, based off of the data that I've provided over those hour sweet spots, I can now hold 350 for about 45 minutes. Now I'm going to do a test this week, a power test. I'm going to film it and post that too. But, when I do that power test, I'm doing a 20-minute all-out power test. My coach said, definitely do it. I said, you want flats or a climb? And he was like, definitely do it on the climb. So I'm going to go out and hit up a climb. I might do Toll House. I don't even know which climb I'm going to do yet because you need 20 minutes worth of road. But I'm going to do that. And hopefully, that's either going to tell me that now I can hold 350 for an hour, or it's going to tell me, no, your threshold is actually, 355 or 360, but you can hold that for 35, 40 minutes. That's what we're going off of. So RAM tests are cool, but I definitely prefer the 20-minute traditional power test. The other one I did in that power test video I do, I think it's called FTP testing. I talked about the Training Peaks version of that test where you do sweet spot for 10 minutes and then you do 15 minutes at threshold, I believe. And then you do, what is it? That's 10, 25. Then you do 10 to 20 minutes above threshold. So that's another test. And again, that's going to be like a 35 to 40 minute test, right? So I would say 20-minute test is super good. When it comes to VO2 max stuff, just do a 5-minute test. So WKO requires 4 to 5 minutes of like strong VO2 max numbers. So if you could do 6 minutes, then do 6 minutes. But 5 minutes is super good. So I would say a standard 20 is good because not only are you going to be able to see what you can actually hold for 20 minutes, it's going to provide a lot of data for just, well, if you don't have WKO, still you're going to know. Most people, the times 25 works really well with them. And then a 5-minute max test for me on WKO feeds into the threshold stuff too and helps me figure out what that stuff is. So, again, with the coach, it works out really nicely with that. But if anything, do the 20-minute FTP test. I mean, you just can't go wrong with it. And then for a VO2 max, I would do a 5-minute VO2 max test for sure. I'd also throw in a minute power test in there somewhere and also a 15-second power test in there. Ryan, what up, bro? Dude, Ryan, you killed it yesterday in our ride. You crushed it. Ryan is a junior. When I started with him, his threshold was, I can't remember what it was. Just like maybe like 190 or 180. Well, he's at like 255 now, and it's been just about a year. Kid's crushing it. He hung with all of his Cat 1s yesterday. Super amazing. He said he was dead, but you deserved it and you earned it. What do you normally do to recover after big rides? After the ride I did with you guys, I completely cracked and still haven't fully recovered. So, dude, hydrate. I have a, oh, hey, it's right here, actually. This is a 1-liter bottle. I will drink anywhere on the longer days, especially if it's hot out. I will drink anywhere from 1 to 2 of these post-ride. Now, I'm not just chugging it, but I am drinking that throughout the entirety of the day. Like, Say last night, I think I drank at least 1.5 of those because I didn't drink enough on our ride yesterday, to be honest. But I would do that. Dude, make sure you eat some solid carbs, especially after the ride. Make sure you get in some really good carbs. Sleep is going to help. Make sure you sleep really well. Even if you're still feeling like crap today, I didn't check your workout yet to see if you spun. Dude, I'm going to check right now to make sure you did your recovery ride. That's right. But technically, you should have ridden today, and that's going to help flush your legs out a little bit too, because that's going to be super important. I know it's going to suck, and you're probably still wrecked, and your legs you haven't ridden your bike today. You need to get off YouTube and go ride your bike. But that's going to help you recover too. So, and tomorrow's a rest day. That's the other thing. That's why I gave you the longer workout on Saturday. But yeah, I'm going to say hydrate really well afterwards. Don't skip on calories. It's totally okay. You don't want to try to refuel on food the next day. You want to do it all that day before, because if you do it the next day, it's just going to be stored as fat and you're not going to use it. And as you rode really hard yesterday, so don't worry about it too much. You're just a little fatigued. Starting from a lower weight, 50 kilograms, get it. Being relatively new to cycling, I was wondering on how to approach riding more to improve on the bike and try to increase weight to about 53 to 55 kilos. Gotcha. I think with natural riding, you're going to start to make some muscle, and you're going to gain a little bit of weight from that, but you're also going to trim the fat. So I wouldn't worry about too much about your weight. I would just focus on just getting a solid fitness. Like, dude, some people are just skinny. Okay. I'm going to be honest right now. I'm weighing in around 144 to 146. The other day I weighed myself post ride. I never do that because, weighing post ride is cheating. But I weighed like 142. I haven't been this light since probably my freshman year in high school. Okay. And that was 14 years ago or something like that. So, weight, don't worry about too much about it. Just get into riding, keep doing it. Make sure you're fueling appropriately for your rides. It sounds like you might not have to worry too much about nutrition, especially if you're trying to gain some weight. Now, that doesn't mean a free pass on eating all the stinking ice cream and all that stuff. But definitely don't be afraid to overeat a little bit. And, you might put some of that on in fat. You definitely want to put it on in muscle. But, it's tough. Everyone's different. I wouldn't be too worried about being, 50 kilograms and getting up to 50, 53. If you got there and your performance went down, well, obviously that's going to be a bad move. If you're at where you're at and you do somehow gain some weight and your performance goes up, well, that was a good thing, right? Same thing for me. I've lost weight and performance has gone up. So I know I'm still safe right now. Dude, Luke, you live in Boulder, Colorado? Yeah, dude, Boulder's super sick. My coach lives in Colorado. Scott lives out. Some creeper out there. Scott lives out in Colorado. That's super sick. I definitely want to go visit there one day. But do you train through a cold or take time off the bike to recover? This is one thing I've learned. If it's a head cold, you can totally ride through it. If it starts to move it down to your chest, you need to take time off. That's what I do. Also, I'm a baby. When I get sick, I'm like, I don't want to ride. So that's one of the hardest things. If anything, I'll just keep doing recovery spins and stuff to get through it. And then after a couple of days of being sick, if it's a cold, after a couple of days, then I would get back into intensity because your body's, usually on the up and up by then. But that's how I would approach a cold. If it's in your head, you're good to ride. If it starts moving down to your chest, take time off. How old were you when you got into competitive riding? I was, when was I? Started riding when I was a freshman in high school, sophomore, when did I race? Was it my junior year? I think it was my junior year. So I think I was 17. I think I was 17 when I started racing. My first race I ever did was a crit, and it was raining, and I didn't understand what the word crit meant. It was a technical course, and I got dropped. I was not ready for racing. I did a couple of races that year. I think when I turned 18 the following year in 2009, I think it was, I that's when I got a little bit more serious, and I moved from Cat 5 to Cat 4 because at the time you had to do 10 mass starts. I moved from Cat 5 to Cat 4, had some experience in the fours, wasn't that great. Moved back east for 2 years, didn't race at all. Came back 2012, started racing as a 4. By 2016, I think I was a Cat 1. So since 2016, I've been a Cat 1. And that's where I've been with racing. I got serious with training about 2 years ago. So 2018, I got serious and got very consistent on the bike. And that's where I went from doing about a 4.3, 4.5 watt per kilogram threshold to now doing 5.3 to 5.4 watt per kilogram threshold. So again, even though I've been racing for a long time and like riding for a long time, I got serious structure training about 2 years ago. So I'm still kind of relatively a young athlete in a way, young rider. So I still have more gains to make, which is super exciting, but we don't know where the ceiling is. I mean, it could be around the corner or it could be up the road. Who knows? How do I train without heart rate and power? Man, that's super hard. You're just going to do it by perceived exertion. So if you, yeah, it's tough. If you use Strava, you can kind of use segments, right? You can use places on the road. So like, if there's a stretch of road, say from point A to point B, time yourself on how long it takes you to get there at a given intensity. Like say you're going to run like, a perceived exertion of an 8 out of 10 on this given segment, then you can kind of learn how long it takes you to get there. And you can keep doing repeats on that, and that would be good. If you want to go full gas, find like a short 2-minute hill or something, or a 2-minute section of road that you just go full gas on for 2 minutes, and it takes you 2 minutes to get there. And that's going to be some good like VO2 training, and you just do repeats on that. I mean, that's the only way you can really do it without heart rate and power. Definitely, dude, jump in the heart rate game. It's super cheap and easy to get a heart rate monitor and all that stuff hooked up. That's super easy. Start there and then invest in a power meter down the road. Yeah, dude, it was sick. So cool of Tim to sit with Scott and really invest in your goals. Yeah. So I did, he called me and was like, hey, I'm still working on your annual training plan. I was like, yeah, no worries. He's like, I'm planning to meet with Tim on Monday. I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, we're going to sit down, collaborate, go through all your data and, try to have a good year for you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then Tim reached out to me and and was like, hey, I'm sitting down with Scott this week. We're really trying to get you to have the best year possible. And I'm just like, and I'm sitting here on the other end of the phone. I'm like, this is super sick. Like, I feel like what? Like, it was kind of surreal. It was super awesome. To know that you got people that care that much and believe in you that much. I think that's the one reason why I've been very strict on the program and sticking to it. There's been days where Nick rides with me like 95% of the time. And there's been days he's like, dude, I don't want to do this today. And I'm like, Nick, shut up. We're doing it. If you want to win next year, we got to get through it and do it. And it's been tough, but knowing that him and Tim have talked and Scott really does care about where I'm going and the time and effort he's put into planning it and stuff like that too motivates me knowing that. And it's got me excited. Also, I'm in a very good spot right now with balancing life. I'm doing full-time college studies right now. I have a full-time job at a church. I'm running the coaching business, which is really taken off this year too. I can't believe how well that's doing. Super, super excited with that. Love all the athletes I have. Like, they're all great people and they're all just great to have, like, honestly. And then on top of that, like, my wife is super supportive. That makes a huge difference. I got a coach in my corner that is just completely trying to do the best he can to get me to the best I can be. And then on top of that, I mean, like I got, Tyler and I got Nick, and some other family members that are just really, super stoked on what's happening. So there's a lot of positive energy right now, even though 2020 sucked as a year when it came to COVID and no racing. Like me, Nick, and Tyler really do help each other stay motivated. The other night, I jumped on Zwift because it was raining, and I don't ride in the rain. I'm a little girl when it comes to that. But I jumped on Zwift, and it was at nighttime, and I'm riding, and all of a sudden it was like, someone's up there, and I was like, huh, who's in front of me? Like someone I follow, and I look at my phone, and it's Tyler. So I flip a U-turn, I ride with Tyler, and I was like, dude, you're on. He's like, yeah, I'm knocking out sweet spot stuff, and I'm like, dude, bro, you're killing it, man. He was at like mile 70, and I was at mile like 14. But I was like, yeah, dude, I'm going to ride the rest of the ride with you on here because you're my friend. I want to see you succeed. So, dude, we really spur each other on. He's been getting he hasn't been getting, but he got a hater this week. I'm not going to mention his name because it's not worth it because he's just trying to get drama out of it. But he got a hater this week. And I'm like, bro, I'm full on going to battle for you. Like, I will try to take all that off your plate because that is not cool. Like we just kind of stick up for each other and we motivate each other. Yeah, no, it's super sick. We're going to do big things this year, hopefully. We'll see. Tyler did that 329 after. Oh, yeah. Do you know Tyler? Yeah, I know. He rolled. What did he roll? He rolled 320 about 4 hours into his ride. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, yeah, that's super huge. It's always fun to do that. Like, especially at the end of a training block like that. I mean, that's how I felt this week when I was doing my hour powers. I was like, I finished the last one coming in at close to 4 hours. I was like, yes, finally nailed it. And I'm done. I know last week I did a 20-minute power just for fun. Like I knew it wasn't going to be like super amazing. And I actually surprised myself because I was super fatigued. And we were probably 3 hours in, I think, on the ride. And I did 365 for 20, which is my best ever 20-minute power, but I was super fatigued too. So that's why like this week I'm excited to see if we can do 370 or 375 for 20. But yeah, dude, Tyler's flying right now and I'm so excited. He's really putting in the work. Like it's going to be huge for our team because all of us have to be firing on all cylinders in order to have a good solid season. I just saw one say, yeah, no, he does, dude. He's such a hater. It's ridiculous. I'm just trying to share some love here, and I love you. No, you don't. Shut up, hater. Okay. I'm looking to start doing crits once things open up. Would you recommend getting a coach for winter training? Yeah, yes, I would. I would recommend getting a coach. Yeah, I mean, right now is the best time of year to actually start working on some stuff and laying that foundation. Plus, the longer you work with a coach, the more he gets to know who you are. So, I've only been working with Scott for 2 months, and he's still learning me, and I'm still learning him. But so far, like, he sees that like I'm a very good student and I follow everything to a T. I see why he's giving me stuff, and I'm going, dude, I don't know if I can do that. But I'm knocking it out, right? It's like we're learning. Like I'm learning what he expects of me, and then I'm learning that like, oh my gosh, he was right. I can do that, and I can handle that. And at the same time, he's learning like I have the grit mentality to get through it and get everything done. Like the quicker you get a coach, the better. And then the longer you stay with that coach, the better. You don't want to be coach shopping every 6 months to a year. Like you don't want to be jumping around. Like I said, I probably had Tony as a coach for about 3 years. And then at the time I wanted to take my numbers just to the next level. And not that he's not a bad coach. Today he's an amazing coach. Where he was to where he is today, he's totally different when it comes to coaching. And then I found Chris, and I worked with Chris for about 5 years. And again, I mean, he took me to new levels. And then I had some other lofty goals on my plate that I felt like I needed some more attention for. And I I shopped around. Again, I really tried to knock down Tim's door to get him, and he showed me Scott. And I think he made a great recommendation with Scott. And even though it's only been 2 years, I plan to be with Scott for as long as I can be with Scott. Like, so I had a coach for 3 years, then I switched, and I had that coach for 5 years, and then I just recently switched. But each coach I've moved up a level. Like I went from here to here, and now like I don't think there's anyone who can top Scott at all. So I had an athlete just say I'm the Grinch for putting test on their rest week. Get over it. So actually, no, we need to do a test. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I would get a coach immediately. I'd shop around, find one. Be careful on Training Peaks. There's a billion coaches on Training Peaks. Again, if you're interested in coaching, I'd love to talk to you. Tony is a good coach too. Hit up him. If there's someone else you're interested in, hit them up. I would look at 3 or 4 different coaches before pulling the trigger. All right, where are we at now? I got my first road bike this year. Congrats. And I'm a freshman in high school also. Dude, sick. Congrats. That's always fun. I was riding a mountain bike my freshman year, and I got a road bike my sophomore year. So, dude, changed my life. Seriously. You want my road setup? So I rock the Tarmac SL6 S-Works. It's the 2018, 2019, whatever. It's rim brakes, old school rim brakes. I rock CLX 32 wheels, the Roval CLX 32s. I recently picked up Sierra Valley Almonds here in the Valley, sponsored me, and picked me up the CLX 50 Roval wheels. So I just picked those up. Super sick. So thank you, Sierra Valley Almonds, for sponsoring that. And that's my 2 setups. I got lightweight climbing wheels in the 32s. I think they're weighing in around just over 1,200 grams without tires. And then the CLX 50s weigh in about 1,330 without tires. So those are my 2 race setups, carbon wheels. And then on top of that, the SL6 frame. I switched over to Durace brakes because they're a little bit, the stopping power on them is better than the SRAM ones. I love SRAM. The SRAM brakes suck. And then I run SRAM ETAP 11 speed. I haven't switched over to 12 speed yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I picked up a brand new Cork power meter. Thank you, competitive cyclist. I got the Cork power meter with the Cork carbon crank arms, which is like SRAM red crank arms, basically. I run that. Stem wise, I run the Zip SL stem, not the Sprint, but the SL carbon stem. It's just as big as a Sprint, but it's not as goofy looking as a Sprint. And then I run the Pro Vibe super light, either ultra light or super light aero bars. So they make 2 versions. They make the regular aero bars and the super lights. I got the super lights because I'm a climber, breakaway guy, and I want my bike to be light, and I didn't go with the regular ones. Plus, I'm not a sprinter, and I'm not. These are little tiny arms that I'm not busting the carbon on those. So that's where I went with that. Anyways, that is my setup. I run a Wahoo kicker, or not kicker, a Wahoo Bolt computer. As far as cassettes, I put an 1128 on my climbing wheels, and I put an 1125 on the deeper 50 aero wheels. In the front, I'm rocking a 5336. Now I got a rotor front chainring. It's a 53, but it's a 110 BCD, so it actually works with the 110 Spider, and I ended up just sticking with that. But that's what I got, and that's what I'm rocking right now. I'm hoping to maybe get a new bike in the next couple of months, but I'm looking to not pay for it. I'm hoping to get sponsored somehow, but we'll see. Duran, oh yeah, we already said Duran. He's, that one dude is a hater. What's the benefit of a rest week after doing 3-week block? So I think the main benefit is this. Those 3 weeks, you kind of want to overreach on those 3 weeks. So the first week, you're going to do kind of your normal stuff. The second week, you're going to start to build up a little bit more. And the third week, you really just kind of want to overreach a little bit and just smash your face on the ground when you finish that. And then you go into a rest week. So like you kind of slightly overreach, and then when you go into the rest week, you like hyper recover, right? So it actually works out really good. And that's one thing. I think mentally it helps too. I think knowing that like you have 3 weeks of hard writing and then you get 1 week to just do whatever you want and relax, mentally has helped me not burn out too and kept me very fresh. So I just finished a very hard 3-week build this last week. Was super hard. I think we did 20 hours that week. And I finished that yesterday and I was like, praise the good Lord, we have a rest week. And it's Christmas week, so I get a rest week. Super exciting. So although I'm going to say this, I'm going to put a video out on this too. Mentally, rest weeks or even just recovery rides is the hardest ride for me to do. When you give me a recovery ride, I'd rather just not ride that day. Like I'm gonna go, I'm gonna, I'm an overachiever. So you're like, hey, take it chill. I'll go, yeah, I'll take it chill on the couch. So recovery weeks are the hardest week for me because now I'm like, I get permission to relax, but then I relax too much. So I actually have to kind of push through and stay, sharp. But I think it's good to have 3 weeks of hard writing and then you get a week of just relaxing and not focusing on it and letting things go. So that's one reason for doing the blocks that way. Okay, next question. I'm new to cycling and is riding on a trainer significantly tougher? 2 hours on the road isn't bad, but 10 minutes on the trainer is brutal. Is that to fitness or perhaps a smart trainer not adjusted? So many things there. This is one reason why I do not like riding the trainer. It's different. Like this one, so this trainer has some side to side movement. I don't like it though because it's super loud. But I'm riding the Kinetic Direct Drive trainer. I want to try to get sponsored by Saris or Kicker or something, but I'm riding that and it's got some side to side movement, which actually does help a lot. If you can, one thing like the Tax Neo has got a little bit of play in it. The new Kicker has those new feet on it that have a little bit of play in it. So you can get some of that side to side stuff. Because when you ride the trainer and you're static and you can't naturally move the bike, it's hard. It's a lot harder. I feel like you use your hamstrings a lot more in the trainer. I don't know why that is. Maybe because, you don't, on the road, there's the inertia thing, right? When you go forward, it's almost like when you start to get on top of the gear, you feel like you're just going to roll forward like a snowball. Whereas on the trainer, they try to mimic that with the flywheel, but still, you're trying to mimic it. So I think that's part of the reason. The trainer is just tougher. Another thing you need to do is make sure you have a really, really good cooling system. I have the Wahoo Kicker fan, which actually works really good. But before that, I had 2 of these like big wind. They're called Wind Machine. I think you can find them at Walmart. I had 2 of them side by side in front of me. Just that helped. Staying cool helps a lot. I open that window up all the way too, even though it's like freezing outside. I'll open the window up and get really cold in here. That just helps a lot. Staying hydrated helps. The one thing about riding the trainer is you never really take time to coast either. You're always spinning. But again, the more you ride the trainer, the more comfortable you're going to get and the better you're going to get at it. But it can take a while. I have an athlete in Canada. She rides a trainer all the time because, there's snow on the ground. But she got the Saris rocker plate board thing. And she's like, oh my gosh, it feels like you're riding outside. It made a huge difference for her, her power still is slightly slower indoors or lower indoors than outdoors, but it's made riding on the trainer far more comfortable and more realistic feeling. So that's one thing. Yeah, it does seem tougher, but eventually you kind of get used to it. Cohen, hey, I'm interested in your coaching. Dude, sick. Shoot me an email or go to elevatecoachingllc.com and you can look at all my training stuff and hit me up there. Yeah, actually, I'll put my website right here in the comments. See if anyone was interested in coaching. I will give you that information. Elevate coaching, not couching. Oh my gosh, I can't spell. coachingllc.com. I think I spelled it all right. elevatecoachingllc.com. Boom. There you go. That's my website. All kinds of info there. All right, Johnny. What's the best time season to book a trip and make that epic ride through Yosemite? I'm in Atlanta and trying to plan an epic solo vacay out west. There's this window between Mother's Day and May, and is it Memorial Day? Is that the holiday that's at the end of May, right? We got married at the end of May. I think it was Memorial Day weekend or whatever. Anyways, so it's between Mother's Day and Memorial Day, and that area right there is a really good time to go to Yosemite. One, because school's still in session, so not all these kids are in the park. Two, because school is in session, families aren't traveling, and therefore no one's in the park. And then three, usually Glacier Point is open because the snow is hopefully gone by then, or they've cleared the road to allow you up to Glacier Point, which is a super sick ride. And four, the weather's usually relatively nice in May. So I would say May, anywhere after Mother's Day, before Memorial Day. So there's like a 2 to 3 week window in there. Usually Tyler actually does the vegan cyclist camp or the Yosemite cycling camp during that time. But yeah, I would, those weeks are really good to get out and check that out. Zone 2 for weight loss. Oh, I put the wrong stinking website. I forgot the LLC.com. Anyways, who cares? Zone 2 for weight loss. Yeah. Zone 2 works for weight loss. Tempo works for weight loss. Sweet spot works for weight loss. Making sure you don't overeat works for weight loss. But yeah, no, I mean, riding at zone 2 would help, stay more in that fat burning range. You want to stay in the mid to lower zone 2 because you'll burn more fat in that area versus the high zone 2. That's for sure. So I would do that. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big thing right there. Okay, how many interval days do you do a week to improve? So really, again, this is going to depend on what my coach does. He has me doing about 2 to 3 days a week of, no, I lied. He has me doing 3 to 4 days a week of interval. So here's an example. Let me kind of pull up what we did, and I will tell you what we did. All right. So like this last week, this is what we did last week. Monday, we did about a 3.5 to 4 hour ride, and we did intervals, and we did 2 by 60 minutes at sweet spot with 30-minute recovery in between. Tuesday, we did about a 2 hour recovery, like zone 1, zone 2 ride. Wednesday, we did a 3.5 to 4 hour sweet spot day again of 2 by 60 minutes with 30 minutes in between. Thursday, we went back to doing a zone 1, 2 recovery ride for 2 hours. Friday, we did another sweet spot session of 2 by 60 with 30 minutes in between for 4 hours. And then Saturday, we did 5 hours. It's called the kitchen sink ride. Basically, just go ride, have fun, do whatever you want. The week before that, I did something a little bit different. I did some VO2 maintenance work for 2 hours on Monday. On Tuesday, I did 3 by 35 threshold, or not threshold. I did 3 by 35 sweet spot for a 3.5 hour ride. Wednesday, I did about an hour and a half of zone 1, 2 recovery. And then Thursday, I did another VO2 maintenance workout. And then Friday, I did about 3.5 hours of 3 by 35 minute sweet spot. And then on Saturday, we did another 5 hour ride of kitchen sink, just kind of have fun. So right there, 2 different weeks. One week I did 4 workouts. The next week I did 3 workouts. So it all depends. Especially like this week, that's a lot of time at sweet spot for a consecutive like 60 minutes twice. So, we only did 3 times that week because that was 6 hours of sweet spot. But for most people, I wouldn't recommend, doing that. I would recommend, 2 to 3 times a week. Some of my athletes, I give them 4 workouts a week, but their workouts are also shorter. Like I'll give them an hour and a half to 2 hours and have them do back-to-back days like that. For other people, you can do 2 to 3 workouts a week. If you're an older athlete, you might only be able to handle 2 to 3 workouts a week. If you're a younger athlete, you could, and you're relatively a good amount of fitness under your belt, you can handle 3 to 4 workouts a week. It all depends. So, and if you feel like it really smashed you into the ground that week, then the next week you need to pull back. So like, for example, the way we built it was this 3-week block. The first week we did 16 hours. We did, 966 TSS for the week. The next week we did 18 hours and we did 1,000 TSS for the week. This week we did 20 hours and we did 1,082 TSS for the week. So, it's a lot of training stress, but now I'm going into a rest week and we're cutting it in half and we're doing 10 hours and I'll probably maybe do 500 TSS this week. Something super low. But the overall goal is we're trying to get that fitness number up to the 130, 140 range. And right now I think we're around 117. Yesterday we were at 120, so today we're at 117. We'll probably drop it down to about 112 this week, and then we'll build over the next 3 weeks again. What is your training bike and race bike? Oh, dude, totally fine. Yeah, I semi-answer that. I did give a breakdown of what my bike was, but overall, that's it. I have one bike. I'm not as blessed as Tyler with Canyon and literally them sending him like a bike every other month. Like literally, we joke, but like Tyler goes, "Oh, this isn't working on my bike," and we're like, "You just need to go get another bike, right? It's been about a year. You're due for a new bike." But I have either paid for my bike or traded my way to the top or got people to chip in and sponsor for it. So the bike I have now is the only bike I have. I'm actually trying to work on getting a TT bike. So if anyone knows a hookup on a TT bike, please, because I'd love to do TT nationals and there's some stage races too. I'd love to try to go check out. But if I don't have a TT bike, I ain't going to win nothing. So really working on a TT bike next, but we'll see what happens. Oh, hey, Jack. Yeah. So Nick says he works on threshold and sweet spot. I'm going to be honest. I do train Nick. Nick is one of my athletes. I technically sponsor Nick and I train him for free. A lot of the times I'll bring him out and I'll have him do pretty much whatever I have from my coach for that day, except, because he's a sprinter, I'll tweak some things and be like, hey, I'm supposed to be doing this today. But I think for you, since you're a sprinter, it'd be good if you did it, in this way instead and slightly tweak it for him to fit his physiology a little bit better. So he is doing a lot of sweet spot right now, though. And I actually told him, I was like, hey, this off season, dude, you need to not worry about doing anaerobic work. You need to not worry about doing your sprint. It's all really good. We need to get your base really good and we need to bring up your threshold. Like seriously, we need to bring it up. So let's do sweet spot. Like, trust me. And he's like, oh man, every time I do that, I get really slow, blah, blah, blah. Dude, here we are 2 months later and his threshold is definitely moving up. It's on the upward trend. And he's doing these big days. And that hour 4, he's knocking out, 1,300 watts for over 10 seconds. Like, I'm like, dude, I told you your sprint would still be there, right? So he's definitely jumping on board. He's getting excited. And he's doing a lot of sweet spot and a lot of threshold. And it's not affecting his sprint right now. And it's not affecting his anaerobic stuff. Plus that stuff comes back really quick. Now he does throw in sprints here and there. He's not doing full on sprint work, but like I said, all the time on our rides, he will randomly, he sprints far more than I sprint, which I should probably start sprinting when he sprints because it is good to kind of keep that sharp. But he will sprint randomly on rides at random spots. Usually when we get to the same spot, in our ride, like, hey, we're coming up on like that tree in that road. I know right here he always goes, and I look back and boom, there he goes, and he sprints, and he does a practice sprint right there, right? So that's how he kind of keeps up on it. Outside of that, yeah, he's chipping away at sweet spot right now. After this rest week, I think we're going to move into threshold work and a little bit of VO2 work and up the intensity a little bit. 101 on US Pro Crit Racing. Are they more regional racing? Can you clarify that question just a little bit? I'm a little confused. You want the 101 on US Pro Crit Racing? Like, is it more regional or is it all over the US? Is that what you're asking? Anyways, hey Chaz, get with me. I might be able to help you out with a TT bike for real. What? Yes, dude. Email me. Here is my email because I need a TT bike. I don't really care too much what kind of TT bike it is. I just need one that goes fast and that I will hopefully do well on. Anyways, Matt, clarify your question. Oh, here we go. Are they national races, meaning everyone from around the U.S. shows up? Oh, okay. So the USA Crit Series, if you're a D1 team, meaning you are domestic elite. So we are not domestic elite. Last year, Legion was domestic elite. This year, they went to Continental, and they still have a domestic elite team that is now a co-ed team. Team Mike's Bikes that we were smashing this year in racing, they're a D1 team as well. D1 teams have priority to get invited to higher level races. So say like pro nationals, they can get invited to that. Whereas our team cannot get invited to pro nationals, but we can go to elite nationals. So that's obviously my goal is elite nationals. The USA Crit Series, we could go and race the USA Crit Series, but the D1 teams and any Continental teams that want to join in on that are going to get priority over us. So if they all jump in and it fills up and sells out, we're out of luck, right? So that's how that works. So the USA Crit Series is kind of like a national level race. It's a crit series. I mean, it's all over the US. You can kind of think of it like, maybe it's like the classics in Europe, except, at the end of the year, they go, here's the winner of all the classics, right? Overall, they did this good in the classics and they won the series. So in the US, that's what they do. Now, there is a US Pro Crit Championship and there is a US Elite Crit Championship. But outside of that, the USA Crit Series are just really high level crits. Basically is what they are. Like we have one up here in San Rafael. I've done that one a couple times. I know Tyler has. Super fun. I know some people on the team are talking about going up to Boise and doing the Boise one. There's a one in Athens that's super fun. But yeah, they're all over the US. So that's how they're not national. They're kind of like national races, but they're not like championships. And a lot of people love them. They're live streamed and all kinds of different things. So how or when do you incorporate strength training? I'm going to be honest, I don't do it that much. I was working with Worker Fit is what they were called. I'm spacing on what his name is. Art from Worker Fit. I was working with him doing some at-home stuff, but I was talking to my coach about it, and he was like, it'd be okay if you didn't do strength training. You'd be fine. We could focus more on the bike stuff and make more gains there and not worry about the strength stuff. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not working on that too much. Did I see the USA Crit schedule for 20? Yes, I did see that. Are we doing any of them? I mean, there's talks that we want to, but as of right now, we're not. Because of COVID and stuff, it's really hard to figure out what we're going to do. So, Premier League is Continental top tier here in the US. Anyone else? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, USA Crit Series. I mean, that's just specific to the US. There's no Crit Series in Europe. There's nothing going on over there. Anyways, if that is all the questions, though, we've been at this for like an hour and a half. This was super good. There's a lot of questions there. And outside of that, I think I'm gonna be done for the night. Um, I mean, now is your time to get in any last questions you have because I'm gonna go hang out with my wife, see what she's doing. I know she's doing homework. She's gonna become a teacher, so she's finishing up her credential program. Right now, she actually is a long term. No, she's not long term. She's a campus substitute. So she actually got placed with a school and she got hired to be there all year as a substitute teacher. So whenever they need her or wherever they need her, they use her as a sub, which is super cool because before it'd be like she'd wait and get a phone call and then go into work. But now she has work every single day, which helps us out. But yeah, outside of that, if anyone is interested in coaching, again, hit me up. That is my website, elevatecoachingllc.com. I had a couple of the athletes that jumped on today and were asking and said some stuff. But yeah, coaching wise, I mean, some coaches are outrageously expensive, some are super affordable. I feel like I'm kind of in the mid range on that stuff. I mean, if you're looking at coaching, I do 150 a month or 200 a month. 200 a month is you get a lot of like this type of stuff. We will talk on the phone, we'll text a lot, different things like that. If we do 150 a month, I communicate mostly through email with you, and then I actually build out your plan for the entire month, and then I just kind of communicate through email and through Training Peaks. But if you pay 200 a month, basically I build out your program every single week. Like I have it planned out for the month, but I'm constantly tweaking it to you because I see that you're achieving things on your end. And it's just really more hands-on and very, very personalized. But I got some people that do the 150 a month and it totally works for them. It's still personalized. It's not like cookie cutter. It's just, I'm planning it a month at a time, instead of planning it a week at a time. There's a difference there. Right. So that's where I go there. Devery, appreciate the training videos. Currently recovering from a broken clavicle, so a bit motivating. Dang, dude, heal up. I hope you didn't have to have surgery on that. That would have been awful. I didn't get your email address. c.tournament@gmail.com. There's my email address. I'll definitely email you. I'm interested in your coaching. Sick, dude. Yeah, and again, like we can definitely go and we can do a phone call too to talk through things kind of like this, but we can do a phone call and talk through some stuff and see where you're at. Where's the super chat? What is that even? Is that a feature? Can you explain that to me, cycling fan? What's the super chat? There's a super chat? I don't know what that is. What is super chat? I don't know. Is super chat like where you can like chat one-on-one with people? I don't understand. Is that new? I don't do many live streams, so that's why I'm a little bit confused, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know what super chat is. Can you all explain to me what super chat is? I'm so confused. I'd love to know what that is. Anyways, outside of that, I think that is everything. Sweet. Oh, you can donate with super chats? Huh. That's super interesting. What I don't even know how you get super chat. I wonder if I'd have to do like so I did this via my webcam actually. That's how I did it. It's where we can donate money to you. Oh, you guys want to donate money to me? You're so kind. Anyways, but yeah, maybe it's just the way I did the live stream. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Hey, if you wanted to donate, you guys just PayPal me a cup of coffee or something. That works too. Huh. That's super sick. Anyways, outside of that, I'm all done. I have some videos in the works. So Tuesday, I'm dropping a video. I did a vlog on So Nick and I did a 5-hour ride last week. It's when I did my 20-minute power. We did one last week and we froze our butts off. It was super cold. But I have a 5-hour ride vlog that I'm dropping on Tuesday. And then this week I'm going to be doing like a legit 20-minute power test rested. So I'm getting my wife up to speed on how to use the camera and film for that and stuff because I'm gonna need her help. But I'm hoping to film it. I'm on the fence about going a funny version of it or going a super serious motivational version of it. If I went funny, I would do like race commentators. If I went super motivated, I would do more slow-mo shots and stuff like that. My email is not showing up. Maybe did that show up? c.terman, and it's going to be at Gmail. Maybe that showed up better. I don't know. Anyways, do a funny version. Yeah, so I don't know, I have this idea of like turning it into like a almost like an event, like, oh, here's Chaz Terman. He's doing 20-minute power today. What do you have to say about that, Brad? Well, Mark, what I think about this is, or hi, I'm Mark Faderbacher, and we're here to see about, anyways, think about doing that, or I'm thinking about just doing super sick, slow-mo motivation type stuff, but we'll see. Go funny. Everyone's saying go funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like dress up all goofy, like an Italian commentator or something. Really, I don't know. We'll see. But so, anyways, 5-hour. I got the 5-hour one. It's done and it's dropping on Tuesday. I might do a Christmas video with my wife to drop on Christmas Day, just to say Merry Christmas to you guys. And then I will be doing that 20-minute power test. That I'm testing on Wednesday, I think. So I'll film that all on Wednesday and I'll probably edit and drop it. If I do a Christmas video, I probably will drop it next week on next Tuesday. I'm trying to do 2 videos a week. It's tough though, because you got to think of stuff. I'm having my CLX 32s right now get warranted. My front one had some warping in the carbon and they're going to warranty it. And then my back one had some flaking of the brake track. So they're going to warranty that too. When I get those wheels back, I'm going to make a video on the major difference between the 32s versus the 50s for climbing and flats, to see how much of a difference it actually makes having the lightweight climbing wheels versus the Aero 50s. I mean, since they're both Revals. So I'm going to do a comparison on that. Why not both? You want me to do both funny and serious? You know what? I might be able to make that work. No promises, but I might be able to make that work. What's my target for the test? Dude, I'm probably going to try to do, like I said, I did 365 last week. I did 365 watts last week for 20 minutes, and I was completely smashed at the end of a hard week. I'd done VO2 max intervals, and the next day I did 3x35 sweet spot, and then the next day I did about an hour and a half to 2 hours of riding, and then I did a 20-minute test. So I did 365. So now coming in fresh, I'm hoping that I can do 370, 375. 380 would be a huge stretch, but I'm thinking 370, 375 for the test. That's where I'm at. Going for that 5.4. Yeah, so let me see. What's 145? 65 and a half kilos, I think is what I am, right? 65 and a half. So if say I do 375, 65 and a half, that puts me at 5.7. Holy cow. If I go 370 divided by 65 and a half, that puts me at 5.69. So I'm going to be trying for 5.7 20-minute power. 5.7 watts per kilo for 20 minutes is what I'm going for. Suggestion for further weight loss: drop 70 pounds so far. Increased FTP for 213 to 370. Dang. But I'm still 259. Okay. Struggle is real. Only cook from home too. Okay. Well, dude, you dropped 70 pounds. That's huge. You've dropped 70 pounds so far, and your FTP has gone from 213 to 370. I know the struggle is real, but dude, just looking at that, you've already made huge gains. Like, that's killer. That's so sick. Again, like, it just takes time. Just keep working at it. I don't know what your calorie needs are and how many calories you're burning a day versus how many you're taking in. That will play a role too. Half of it, eating healthy, you naturally start to eat less calories because you're eating healthy and it's not as calorie dense, right? But at the same time, if you continue to eat over your caloric intake needs, you're going to keep putting weight on or hold that weight. So it depends on that too. But anyways, yeah, I wouldn't be discouraged. That's huge. You lost 70 pounds and then you doubled, or not doubled, but like 100 watts in your threshold. That's sick. What else we got? Yeah, dude, Johnny, thanks, man. I don't do many of these live streams, but this actually was really fun because I'm gonna be honest, before I had like 2,000 people following me, and doing live streams is tough because it'd only be like 10 people on. But having 30 to 40 people jump on, it made it really enjoyable, and I like talking to you guys. So I will definitely do another one. I don't know when, but I will do another one. Our email, definitely in touch about coaching. Super sick. Yeah, dude. Merry Christmas to you. Good night, all. Appreciate it. Video idea: what do you take from cycling to your personal life? Yeah, no, I can definitely work on maybe doing a breakdown of just overall cycling stuff in my life and things like that. That's a good idea too. Anyways, hey guys, thanks for joining me. I think my wife actually just texted me. Was like, how long are you going for? So I'm going to go hang out with her now. And anyways, as I always say, guys, you guys keep training and riding hard, and I will talk to you guys soon. Like I said, I got more videos dropping out here, and yeah, keep an eye out for those. Hey, you guys, one thing I will say, I really appreciate you guys. Share the content with your cycling community. That is the only way people will hear about me, is if you share my content with other people. I mean, I can post all day long and YouTube can throw it out there and people will find me. But you guys are the biggest support system too. Because of you guys, it's why I do all this stuff. So again, just share with your community. If you like the video, share it. If you don't like it, just give it a thumbs down, because there's always people that give me thumbs down videos. It's usually like 1 or 2 people. And I'm like, I wish I knew who you were. But yeah, share away. Super appreciate that. Outside of that, I'll do another one of these soon. Until then, have a good night.